Hello and welcome to Inside the Nest. I'm your host, Xavier Atatula. And can you feel it? We've made it to the best time of the year for sports. The end of a long but scintillating season with a possible championship waiting on the other side. It's playoff time! All the hard work during the regular season has led to this, and the Redhawks have stepped up to the plate. Whether it's Cameron Muse and the volleyball team serving up some killer spikes, or Gab Maisto and the field hockey team taking down 19th ranked New Paltz. It's been a pretty good season for the Redhawks. Let's take a look at where each team stands in their hunt for a championship, shall we? Let's start with football. There are no playoffs there. The regular season champion moves on to the NCAAs, but unfortunately, with the record sitting at 1-3 in conference with 2 games left, it looks like they'll be on the outside looking in again. Next, we have women's soccer, who have made a late season playoff push, winning their last 5 of 6 matches against NJAC opponents. With their win against Rutgers Camden on Wednesday, they'll see a 3rd place finish. That means they'll play Kane at noon tomorrow at Soccer Park. And how about that field hockey team? Their path to the playoffs is a bit more fascinating than the other teams that we have. After losing their first game of the season, they went on a tear, winning 7 in a row, setting up beautifully in conference play. They're 3rd right now at 4-1, behind Rowan, who are 4-0, and TCNJ at 5-1. We said it was interesting, and it gets better. They play Rowan tomorrow at home to end their regular season. Playoff chaos. We love it. Now we move to our top-seeded teams. First, men's soccer, who are the defending NJAC champions. They are 2nd in the NJAC, but that does give them the quarterfinals bye. They'll face the winner of Kane and Stockton on November 5th. Last but certainly not least, we have the volleyball team, who are sitting atop the NJAC. They're 6-1 in conference play and 1 game clear of 2nd place William Paterson. With 1 conference match left, a playoff spot is a lock for the Redhawks. They have a flurry of non-conference games at the end of their schedule to work out all the last-minute game plans they need before their semifinals matchup on the 14th. And we have from the 6-1 volleyball team, Coach Stawinski and senior libero Katie Rodman. Guys, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I really appreciate it. So, Katie, let's start with you. You lead the team in digs this year with 368 and counting. And with your position, that gives you the ability to be a defensive anchor for your team. How does it feel knowing that you are that defensive anchor?
I guess it feels good. It's a lot of fun back there just playing defense. And it's really nice to be able to help my teammates out. I feel like I just take on that responsibility of getting the ball to our setter and helping our hitters.
Yeah. And Coach, for you, you guys are 6-1 in the conference. That's not easy for most people to do. How does it feel knowing that you guys are at 6-1 right now?
It's very good because we're in the driver's seat, so we control our destiny. I think that's the biggest thing this year is that we're controlling what we can control. We're not relying on any scores or watching anything else that's happening in the NJAC. We're just focusing our 1 game at a time, and that's important.
All right. And how do you keep the team from falling into complacency? Because you guys are pretty much steamrolling the competition throughout the year. You need to keep focused for the NJAC. How do you do it?
Take it 1 day at a time, so we're incorporating a lot of new things that we hope to implement in the next couple of weeks, but we're focusing on 1 day at a time, 1 opponent at a time, so we're not overlooking the match that we have coming up on Tuesday or next weekend. That's huge competition. We're just focusing on today's practice and just getting better today and some of the things that we need to implement for the future, and then do that against Brooklyn College on Saturday and then go from there.
Yeah. And Katie, being a senior, I know this is your last year. It's very emotional for most seniors. What does it feel like knowing that you're leaving this team a lot better than quite possibly you met it?
I just feel like I have a lot of gratitude for the program, for the people that were here before me, set it up well. And then I just want to end this year on a good note and just worrying about 1 game at a time, finishing. I haven't really thought too far in advance, 'cause I'm trying to stay present.
Okay. Work together all the time. Do you guys have any nightly, sleepovers or something that you guys bond together before games?
I mean, we definitely hang out a lot outside of the court all the time. Sometimes we've done like movie nights together and just put on a movie and sat all together in a house. Other times we'll just meet up and do homework. It's really mundane, small things, but we hang out a lot outside the court as well.
Okay. And I have to ask you, this is one of my favorite questions. If you could pick any other position besides libero, where would you want to be on the court and why?
Well, I love playing libero. If I had the same height, I would say setter because I feel like that's the most realistic because I could still play back row. Maybe if I was a little taller, I'd choose outside hitter, do a little bit of passing and hitting.
All right. And Coach, you have Kane on November 5th, which is a very, very important game for you guys, big rival to our school. Do you have your game plan set? And if you do, what are you looking towards for that game plan?
Not yet. We just, like I said, we're focusing on Brooklyn tomorrow. And then, for Kane, we know Kane. They're mostly returners, so we know them from last year. We know the style of play that they have. They're a very good team. We're finishing with probably a team that's getting hot at the right time in Kane. So we know what we have to do. I think we learned a lot from playing them last year in the regular season and in the playoffs. So, we'll be prepared, but we're going to change some stuff, and then we'll go from there.
All right. And playoffs are far away, Is there anyone you're enjoying or excited to play against?
Not really. I mean, it's going to be one of those that I think when we get to the playoffs, regardless if we're hosting a quarterfinal, hosting a semifinal, wherever we end up in the end of the year ranking, we're going to face some tough opponents. I mean, the NJAC is in volleyball as a conference. There's a lot of parity. So 1 through, I think, everybody, even the ones that are not making the playoffs, have been very competitive. So we know we're going to face a tough competition down the road. So it's just we're going to prepare for whoever it is ahead that we have.
All right. And are you, Katie, excited for your tournament play coming up?
I mean, definitely excited for it. It's just good volleyball. Like Coach said, every team in the NJAC is a great team. So no matter who we play, it's just going to be a good game.
All right. And I want to just ask you, as a senior, it's an important part of being a senior is being a leader of the team. And that means you probably work a lot with the younger freshmen on the team. What has it been like for them to make the adjustment from high school volleyball to college volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, it can be a lot for sure, but we try to just make sure they remember they've played volleyball for years. Like, it's a new setting, but it's the same game. So just to stick to those basics, and we know that they know what they're doing as well. So just instilling that confidence in them, I think, is important.
All right, cool. And Coach, this is real cool. How do you get the recruiting done for such a strong team? Because you had to have started either months and months ahead of this season, or you could have just started right at the top, which probably didn't happen. But
no, we start looking at entering their junior year. So we're with some of the players that came into the program, we've been communicating for a while, and then during that time that they're going juniors to seniors, we're continuing to see them play in club volleyball. I mean, it happened with Katie as well. We saw her early on, and then we just continue to watch her develop and grow. So it's a long process. Some of them might be a little bit later. They might not know where they want to go, and then they have change of plans. But for the most part, the people that are here have been recruited for at least 2 years.
All right.
And then, and then we get to see them develop and grow and see how they, we know the type of players that they are early on, but it's about the other stuff. It's about how good of a teammate will they be? Will they fit our current roster? How are they going to handle college athletics, and those things you get to learn a lot during that last year, I think, in the recruiting process.
All right. And Katie, we have our own top 5 going on later today, talking about the top 5 moments of all season. I want to ask you, what is your favorite moment up to this point for this season?
Oh, wow. There's been a lot of good ones, I will say. I think our win at Stockton was a great team win. Felt like a really good, and that was our first. We bounced back after losing to William Paterson, so that one I think felt really good. So I think I might go with that one. All
right. Coach, same question.
There's a lot of good ones. I actually think the last one on Saturday against DeSales was a good one. We were down 2-0. We've had some injuries. We didn't have our entire core playing, and we found a way to win where we weren't playing the best. The first 2 sets weren't. We played a match before that was excellent. Then the first 2 sets against DeSales we didn't play at all comparably to that first match that we played. But we never really got frantic. We never got hectic. We just knew we just got to get back into our game. And doing so late in the season, understanding that when you're not playing your best, you still can do things to adjust and win a match is huge for us. I think that's going to be one that will help us down the road.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I wish you guys could stay longer, but that's all the time we have. I appreciate you guys for coming in today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regular season success is nothing new for Montclair State, as they have taken part in every NJAC tournament since 2006. But since their conference crown 8 years ago, they have yet to find similar results come postseason time. The worst finish since 2016 came last season with a first-round exit at the hands of Kane. Fueled by last year's disappointment, the 2024 stands as the chance for the Red Hawks to mark a new era for this program. Here to help further discuss whose teams might have the best shot at a championship this playoff season, I'd like to welcome Thomas Gaffney Jr. and Ryan Nussbaum. Thanks for coming on today, gentlemen. Let's get right to it.
Let's go. Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's start with the field hockey team. A massive test awaits the team. Do you feel the Red Hawks have enough to win it all?
I mean, look, when you're looking at this field hockey team, right, I mean, the whole story of the season has been kind of building this David versus Goliath matchup that we have going on. I mean, you look back at the history of the NJAC, right? Pretty much two teams dominated. That's Rowan and that's TCNJ. Historically, those were the teams. I think William Paterson and Montclair are the only two teams ever to win an NJAC championship. And Rowan right now is on a three-peat, looking to make it a four-peat. So, of course, the story of this field hockey team, I should say, it's been a really great one, but again, huge, tough matchups ahead of them in the playoffs, in my opinion.
And you also have to look at it as Montclair State, they go into it and they have two ranked wins against New Paltz and Stevens. So now this team has fought adversity, has fought challenges throughout the whole season. They have Rowan on Saturday or tomorrow. So again, if they could win that game, they could potentially make a push, gain some momentum this season and going into the playoffs and try to beat Rowan or TCNJ. But you have two juggernauts at the top, and it's going to be hard to beat them, especially on the road.
Yeah, I know it's not going to be easy for the field hockey team. Now, let's move to men's soccer. Without Lukovic, this is going to be a hard one for them. One could say the offensive vacuum that could be created from him not being on the field could be major. Even though they look great during the regular season, we did see some mess-ups in their game against Rowan offensively. They lacked the creativity and were short on shots too. Will they find a way to overcome the lack of the offensive firepower he brings?
And if you look at just the last couple of games from this men's soccer team, it's kind of a hardship for them right now. They lost to Rowan 1-0. They lost to Stockton 1-0. They did beat Ramapo 3-1 away from home, but they also tied Rutgers Camden this past Wednesday. So now you're going into the playoffs where you don't have a solidified goal scorer. Where Epitome, yeah, he did start off really hot. He had 8 goals this season. He did not score in the last 6. So now he's coming back. You don't have a solidified goal scorer. Lukovic is obviously the man. He scored 30 goals, D3 Player of the Year last year. You don't have him, and now at the beginning of the season, you figured it out. You were ranked 7 at one point, and now you're kind of trickled down. You have a ranked vote. You're still kind of right outside the top 25. But then going into the playoffs, Rowan had your number. They beat you 1-0 at home, and now they have the 1 seed. So in order to win the NJAC, you have to go through Rowan. You have to go to Glassboro. It's going to be very hard to see how this Montclair State team can handle it.
But I mean, look, historically, Montclair State, they have been a team that has been able to step up in these big situations. Yes, they don't have Amir Lukovic, but that's a problem they've been dealing with the entire year. You can't say, okay, now it is a situation that they have to deal with. I still feel like players like Mendez, Epitome, and others are going to be able to step up in these big game situations. I really am a believer that teams that have been there before, teams that have played in these big situations, have an advantage in these kind of matchups.
And I agree with you at some point, Ryan, where yes, they have the senior players that can definitely step up. But you just look at the last couple of games. I just cannot see. There's no goal scorer. There isn't one guy. Ozzy Mendez has stepped up as that central midfielder. He's been absolutely amazing all season. But again, if you're trying to play through a center defensive mid, it's not going to work out for you. One of your attackers has to score. And again, the attack has not been kind of there, especially with the absence of Lukovic. We keep saying it. But again, I think it's going to be very hard for them in the playoffs, especially with defensive teams like Rowan. You have Rutgers Camden, who held them to only a goal. Stockton, who just beat them, held them to 0 goals. Again, if you're going to rely on your midfield to try to create chances and score goals, it's going to be very hard.
Women's soccer is on a different path, but they are also playing on a similar stance as field hockey, looking at a giant hill to climb. They have shown in the second half of the season that they definitely could take that hill on. But we don't know if they will be able to take on the juggernauts of TCNJ and Rowan. Do you believe the women's team has the fight and guts to make this run and push to take down those Goliaths?
I honestly think this team, from top to bottom, goalkeeper, defense, midfield, from the attack, has everything to beat TCNJ and Rowan. It's really ironic that kind of the field hockey team has the same path as the women's soccer team. So if you go into it, again, you have the goalkeeper, you have Solange Bell, freshman coming in. Defense, you have Julie Baker sliding into that center back role. You also have Emmy DeVellis. They're deep back there as well. Midfield, Emily Schuler has been amazing at center defensive mid. Then you look at the attack. Aileen Cahill and Kylie Prendergast, who Cahill may not even came back last year, but came back for a graduate season this year. And Prendergast, only a junior. It's a very young team. There's a lot of seniors on the team as well. I think they have everything to push through. They also have to look at the transfers who came in. Mackenzie Albert, Aria Hicks, who have been solidified as starting players in that team. Mackenzie Albert has won NJAC Offensive Player of the Week multiple times. And again, she's been the main goal scorer for this team. And yes, you did lose. The Montclair State team did lose to Rowan and TCNJ this season. But again, I trust them fully to go on the road and potentially even beat them or even win the NJAC.
Yeah, and I mean, Prendergast, Albert, those are the players that are going to be getting the attention. They're the big goal scorers. But I mean, their defensive play, I really think that's been the central part to why this team has been successful. Excuse me. I mean, look at Julie Baker, for example. I mean, I've said it all the time watching her play. It's almost like a vortex. Any ball that comes near her just cleared immediately. Same thing with players like Ricci and as well as Dina Velez. That backline has been central, and they do a really good job of, not putting too much pressure on Solange Bell, the goalkeeper. So no matter, kind of the games, whatever game they're really looking to play, they're able to keep it low scoring and they're able to keep any opportunities away from them. They're very solid defensively. That could be the key factor this playoffs.
Finally, let's get to the queens of the hardwood, volleyball. They've been unstoppable all season, led by freshman Cameron Muse. She has been a phenom for the Redhawks, and the Redhawks are looking to continue their regular season dominance. The question remains, though, with such a young team, will they be able to take on the pressures of the playoffs?
I mean, I'm going to have to go back to, playoff experience. I mean, we have players like Muse who've obviously been incredible, and you go up and down this roster, plenty of freshmen and sophomores, but they haven't been put into this specific kind of situation yet. So when you get into these do-or-die situations, nerves start to show. That's something that you have to look at. And don't get me wrong, Muse has been incredible. All these players have been incredible. Volleyball has been lights out, electrifying this entire season, but things change when the calendar turns, and it's time for playoffs.
I don't know. I have to disagree with you there, Ryan. I think the nerves are going to get to them, yes, but it's going to go through Panzer Athletic Center. The NJAC playoffs are going through them. If they get the number one seed, all they have to do is beat Kane on next Tuesday, and they solidified that number one. So again, if they can kind of stem some momentum as they've been doing all season, they've been absolutely lights out. Cameron Muse has been that outside hitter that they needed. Freshman galore on that team, Sarah Capone as well. They have the players to do it. They have the talent. But yes, it is not as deep as a roster as people say. But again, there's no seniority. There's not that much. But again, if the freshmen can step up as they've been doing all season, I don't think it will be a problem. And I think this team could definitely go a long way, especially against William Paterson, that's the team they lost to. If they can somehow get back to them and they can beat that's the team that you're going to have to get by in the NJAC playoffs. And if you can beat them one more time, I think the NJAC is all theirs.
Yeah. Ryan, Thomas, I appreciate the great insight. Thank you so much. Ryan, I heard you were at Hinchliffe Stadium last weekend, right?
Yes, sir. It was the Hinchliffe Classic between Montclair State and William Paterson, playing in a little bit of a classic NJAC football rivalry. It was a really exciting game.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look at what went on out there.
Historic Hinchliffe Stadium in Paterson has held all kinds of events, from high school football to Negro League baseball to soccer, boxing, auto racing, and much more. But for the first time in 80 years, college football has been played on these hallowed grounds. Here at Hinchliffe Stadium, William Paterson took on the Montclair State Redhawks in a classic New Jersey Athletic Conference matchup.
This is an amazing, as you say, historic facility. one of 2 stadiums in the whole country where Negro Leagues baseball was played that's still standing. And it's home to the Charles Muth Museum, which is part of Montclair State University, which is right over my shoulder, celebrates the history of this great stadium. And for people in Paterson who grew up here, the big event of the year on the sports calendar is the Kennedy Eastside football game, which has always been played here. And when I came to the first Kennedy Eastside football game on Thanksgiving last fall, I was like, we got to play a game here.
Welcome to historic Hinchliffe Stadium in the Silk City.
I think us playing this game here underscores Montclair State University's commitment to Paterson, that we want to be a part of this community, that we are a part of this community. This is home for us. And here's a historical fun fact. I'm told this is the first time in the history of Hinchliffe that a college football game has been played here. So that's pretty cool that we're making history here today too.
The Red Hawks collect their 3rd win of the season here in the Silk City, but more importantly, the student athletes have had an experience at a legendary ballpark that they will never forget. For the Red Hawk Sports Network, I'm Ryan Nussbaum.
A historic moment for the football team. Thank you so much, Ryan. Now we wanted to recognize some of the best moments of the fall season. There have been so many, but today we have a top 5 list for you guys. We start with number 5. Montclair State football got their 500th win against Union, 17-15 on homecoming. The first win came back in 1929 when Guy Morrison was the head coach. That was only their 2nd season as a team. Unfortunately, they went 2-3-1. Next, at number 4 is men's soccer, who had 7 shutouts from September 8th to October 2nd. Those 7 clean sheets came during an 11-game winning streak. So it's more than offense that's gotten this team to the playoffs. Goalkeeper Alexander Velasquez has 54 saves this year. Pretty impressive. Not to be forgotten, at number 3, women's soccer. They're undefeated at home and are playing very well right now. They've shut out opponents with 0 goals in 5 of their last 7 games, often winning by more than 2 goals. And freshman goalie Solange Bell is holding it down in between the posts. We can't stop talking about the number 2 pick, field hockey, who have defeated 2 of 3 ranked opponents this year, number 24 Stevens and number 19 New Paltz. They are currently 12-4, and they're facing Rowan tomorrow to see if they can continue their impressive play during the playoffs. And at number 1, volleyball's fresh success. Freshman Cameron Muse has over 300 kills, which is just insane. She had a season-high 30 against Stockton October 1st, just missing the all-time single record by 1 kill. Carly Waterman holds the career record at 1,149, set back in 2022. But if Muse keeps this up, she could pass that easily in her 4 years as a Red Hawk. Yesterday was Halloween, and here at the Inside the Nest, we love 2 things, candy and trivia. We went around campus testing students' knowledge on their sports and Halloween. Let's see if they got tricked or treated.
Hey guys, welcome to Montclair State University. I'm Tim Glasdell alongside
Justin Jacob.
We're gonna ask everybody some trivia and make sure they know Montclair State. How many kills does Cameron Muse have on the season? She currently leads the NJAC.
56.
300 is the correct answer. In 1926, which famous magician died on Halloween? That's the correct answer. You get a piece of candy.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
I didn't even know. Wow.
Your teammate Cameron Muse currently leads the NJAC in kills. Do you know how many she has in the season?
Like total?
Yeah.
Wow. 473.
The correct answer is 300. So, the field hockey team at Montclair has had a really good season. We've beat 2 ranked teams in the season. Can you name one of them?
Is one of them in the NJAC?
Neither of them are in the NJAC. One of them is from New Jersey, though.
Stevens.
That is correct.
Let's go.
You get a piece of candy.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Who won the WNBA championship last week?
Liberty. New York Liberty.
That's the correct answer.
Yay.
You get a piece of candy.
Yay.
Dude, let's go.
Question is, what is the only mammal that can fly? It relates to Halloween.
A bat.
That is correct. You get a piece of candy.
Yay!
Think about Halloween.
A bat.
That's correct.
Hey.
Congratulations. You get a
Hey.
piece of candy. Tanner, Caitlin Clark recently broke the NCAA Division I record for points scored. If you can name where she went to the school, where she went to school, you get a piece of candy. And if you say how many points she scored, you get 2 pieces of candy. So where did she go to school?
She went to school in Iowa. I know that.
And how many points did she score to break the record?
I'm gonna say, I don't know I'm gonna say 2,309.
The correct answer is 3,951, but you do get a piece of candy. Congratulations.
All right, let's go.
Brave young guests ready to answer some questions. So if each of you guys, I'm here with Mateo and Tico, if you guys can answer what your favorite candy is, you can pick any candy from the box. So we'll start with Mateo. What's your favorite candy, Mateo? Chocolate? Any kind of chocolate? Good answer. What about you, Tico? Awesome. Thank you, guys. You can pick any candy you want.
Well, that's all for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, when we come back for basketball, the Red Hawks will have a couple titles on their name. Until then, keep on